Hello everyone. If you'd like to see some sewing with my 6-year-old granddaughter, a bit of a fabric haul, and the two items I made last week because it's been school holidays, stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Deb and this is DB Designs and Sewing Australia. So glad to have you with me. Welcome back to all my subscribers and welcome to anyone who's new. And a big thank you for those people who have sent me a coffee through my Ko-fi account. It is very much appreciated. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, probably not the first thing I did, is the sewing I did with my 6-year-old granddaughter Phoebe. Now I don't have the garments here because she took them home with her. The first thing she made was an apron using the apron pattern that I have created, which is a very easy basic apron that has channels that run through here so that you can pull it up to adjust the fit. Very easy pattern, and Phoebe wanted a dinosaur one, so we found some dinosaur fabric and made that. I'll pop in some photos of Phoebe wearing her beautiful apron, and I think I've got some footage of her sewing the apron. And then we made a dress. So the dress we made was the New Look 6504. And I was very surprised because according to the measurement of the pattern, she was exactly a size 6, and I thought she would have been a bit smaller than that. So we cut out a size 6 and we made the size 6. Now the one I made was really this version here. So we haven't got the buttons. We've just got, it's really just a front and a back. It easily pulls on over her head. And Phoebe sewed the shoulder seams, the back seams, the side seams, and the hem. And I sewed a bias neckline and armhole. So I did the bias for her, but the rest of it she actually sewed herself. Now I did go in and the seam allowance was 5/8 of an inch. So I went in and marked a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance with an iron off chalk. And on the navy blue, she could easily see that. So she was able to follow the line really easily, and I was really pleased with the outcome, and she was thrilled to bits. So it's really nice when you begin sewing, even though sewing straight lines and everything is really useful, and it's the way you learn how to sew straight, how to stop, learning when to stop so that you can adjust your fabric and pull it to where it should be so it's all laying flat. Although that's a really good thing to learn, it's also really great fun to have a finished garment at the end of the day. So Phoebe was thrilled that she had 2 things to take home with her, and that she had made them, and that the dress had her label on it. I actually had labels made for Phoebe, I think probably for her birthday last year. So they're printed ones. It just says made by Phoebe, and there's purple ones and there's pink ones. And I think I've got a lot less pink than purple, so no prizes in guessing what colour she's been choosing to put on things. But it's really nice that she can put her own label onto things. And we sewed the label onto the outside. So I'll show you in a picture, but her label's on the outside of the dress, and she's very, very proud of it. And that probably took 2 days of sewing, I think. And I have sent her home with another project. And so her project is, she's got a little sewing machine, which is like a little kid's sewing machine. And so I cut out some strips, not on the bias, on the straight grain. I want her to stitch them all together. So long sides all stitched together. and she's got clips and all that sort of thing, so she can clip them together before she sews them. But the sewing machine she's got doesn't really lock the stitch really, really well, and I thought, well, if she does, if she can stitch all of those together, and then when she brings it here, I'll get her to quilt it, or I will help her quilt it, and that way all the pieces will stay together as they're supposed to be, and it'll be a bit more structured. So that's the project she's gone home with, and she had a great time. And as my daughter said, she'll have great fun when she actually is older and comes here by herself for a week to stay with Nanny and do sewing. So she was interested in patterns and how patterns make up a garment, but I don't let her cut out with any sort of proper sewing scissors. We do everything the safest way possible. She doesn't use an iron yet. Now I have got a steamless crafter iron that I had purchased quite a while ago for her, but the fabric we actually made the dress out of was really a bit of drill, and I didn't have enough of it, and it was like a mermaid pattern. The girls have all got aprons in that fabric, and so I had to make the pattern piece fit on the fabric, and just a piece of gabardine that I had in my scraps for the back.
Yep, that's in the right spot. Then
So we're going to go forward a little bit and then go backwards.
Yeah.
Watch what you're doing. You're stopping now so you can go backwards.
Yeah. So backwards.
That's it. You're stopping now,
Yeah.
and you're holding onto the fabric
Yeah.
when it goes through the machine. Okay, off you go again. No, keep on going forwards on the foot pedal. That's it. Remembering what you're lining up the white line with.
Yeah.
And if it goes crooked, just stop.
Yep. That was exploding.
We're stopping now so we can adjust the fabric.
Yeah.
I'm going to lift up the foot.
That's
it.
Lift.
And then we're just going to shift the fabric around
Shift.
so that it's straight and hasn't got any bunches in it. That's it. Now I've got to put the foot back down. Keep on going. Want to stop now for a sec? Keep on going. After she sewed up all the seams, I actually overlocked the seams off. Now she came and worked the overlocker a little bit with me, but an overlocker I think you could easily cut yourself with. You know, it does have blades. I don't think you'd chop your finger off as such, but still, for someone that's 6 years old, and I have got an overlocker that she can have when she's old enough and knows how to use one. So I overlocked it, and then when I put it onto the ironing board, she said to me, "Oh, don't we need to iron it?" Because she could see how the side seams were not sitting flat. That's a good telltale sign. Someone can tell that something needs ironing. But we had a wonderful time together while her brother was outside kicking the footy around, and while the grand final was on, because, you know, both teams were not Melbourne teams, so it wasn't that interesting, and it was an annihilation, so, and it was just not much of a game. So that's the first thing I had to show you. Now, probably less than 2 weeks ago, I went to Bendigo and bought this beautiful cotton linen. Now it's 55% linen, 45% cotton. So it's a linen blend. And that's not really the colour of it. It's much more sage colour than it looks there. A bit brighter than it looks there, actually. And I bought this from the House of Cloth, and I bought 2 meters. Now, the other thing I bought was a linen visco from Spotlight. And they only had 1.6 meters, so that's what I bought. But I think I could probably get a shirt out of that. I really like it. It's very, very soft. Now, this has all been washed and ironed, so it is very soft, this linen visco. Now, the other thing I bought was this silk from the House of Cloth. Look at that. It's just beautiful. I'll show you the thickness of it. So it's not ultra thick. That's actually the right side. And it's just got a beautiful texture. Now, I did buy 2 meters of it. And as I said, it was from the House of Cloth, but it's only 120 wide. And I know that the lady does not have any more left. So I have to be very picky about what I make with this. And the next thing I bought was some cotton batik, or batik, however people like to say it. I think when we made batik fabric at school, we called it batik fabric. Might be how our craft teacher taught us how to say it, or art. Can't remember if we made it in art or craft, because they were all separate subjects in those days. And I bought this just because I love it. And I was thinking that new bubble sleeve top, is it called Bubble Sweet Talker? I don't think it's called that. No. Sweet Talker bubble top from Pattern Emporium would be really nice in this, because it would hold its shape, because it's 100% cotton. So that's what I'm thinking for this one. And I've got 2 meters, but it is only 112 wide, like Indian cotton block print is and all those sorts of things. But I think we get a short sleeve one out of it. So the thing is, with the bubble sleeve top, you are cutting 2 sleeves. So, because one sleeve goes inside the other, and that's how you get that puffiness. But always remembering that your inside sleeve can be in a different fabric. It can be in a plain pink fabric that I've got in my stash somewhere, or it can be in something else. So when you're thinking about how much fabric do I need, oh, I don't have enough, you can always think that all of your facings, anything that is predominantly and only on the inside, can be in a different fabric. So if you don't have enough fabric, sometimes you can get around it. I'll often do the insides of yolks and all of that sort of thing in a piece of lawn that I've got, especially when I talked about it the other day. If you're cutting a yoke on the bias, cut the inside yoke on the straight grain, because it just adds more structural integrity to it, and just, I don't know, it just makes it hold its shape better. And so the other thing I bought from Spotlight, which they only had 1.85 meters of, why, I don't know, is this broderie anglaise, but it's only got a very, well, you can see I've overlocked it with pink thread. It's only got a very tiny hole in it. I was also thinking the Sweet Talker bubble sleeve top for this as well. And the other thing I purchased was some African wax print fabric from the Dahlia Society. Now this is, you can see how stiff this is. So I have in mind to make the peppermint wrap skirt. Now that's the wrap skirt from Peppermint Magazine. You can give a donation. You can give a $5 donation, if it was, and get any. Their patterns did used to be free, but you know, somebody needs to get something out of it. It's taken a pattern maker some time to make it. So I got 2.5 meters of this African wax print, and it's even got on its selvage that it's the genuine product. Look at that. I mean, this feels so stiff. I'm so interested, I haven't washed it yet, to see how this washes up and how stiff it's going to be when I wash it. And if I think it's too stiff for the skirt, I also purchased the Pepin tote bag. Now, I wear a backpack a lot of the time. Why? Because I get a sore back and I like to wear my bag on my back. But I do like a tote bag, and sometimes I'll have a smaller handbag and put it inside the tote bag, and then sometimes when you get out and you only just have to pop in somewhere, just grab your handbag out of your big bag. So I do use a tote bag, and I had seen the Pepin tote. Now somebody must have something on YouTube about it, or the finished product. Maybe I was just Googling noodle head patterns and this was the one that was most attractive to me. So as soon as Kristen got this Pepin tote bag in, I purchased it. So I think the one in the front is in a wax print, but you know, I'm very tempted by leather as well. Last time I went to the fabric store, which is across the road from Draper's, I want to say it's in Brunswick. I don't think it's in Collingwood. I think it's in Brunswick. Anyway, in Melbourne. Anybody from Melbourne will know where that is. There's a fabric store have leather hides. So, and I know they have beautiful aqua coloured ones, purple coloured ones, and hot pink coloured ones. You know, just all those colours cows come in. So I really want to make this bag up to see how difficult it would be to make it up in leather. Now I have done leather work before, but admittedly it was when I was 15. So that was 48 years ago. So, and I've sewn pieces of leather on things, on duffel coats, you know, your little triangular shape that you hold your toggle buttons on with. That's the type of things I've sewn in leather since then on my sewing machine. But I would love to make a leather bag. Except I know what will happen if I start making leather bags. That's all I'll be making. But the Pepin tote looks like a really nice bag, so I'll let you know how I go with that. And depending how softly this washes up, I mean, a wrap skirt doesn't have to be really soft. It's not like it has any gathering in it. It's like a flat skirt. I used to make a lot of wraparound skirts, once again, when I was 14 and 15, because I had Holly Hobby fabric skirts, and I remember being able to put a pocket on it because I got an actual image of the girl on the pocket, which worked out really, really well. So I actually made a lot of skirts in my very early days of sewing. Hopefully this fabric softens up a little bit and I can make the wrap skirt in it. The only thing I can see is I need to make a lot of different t-shirts. And I have got a lot of patterned skirts and patterned bottoms, patterned pants. So I do need to make some t-shirts. So what I've made for the week, this dress I'm wearing, which is the Wardrobe by Me Abby dress. And so going by the finished measurements, I actually made the size 10, which is a size 40, in this beautiful Euro viscose that I got in the September bespoke box. And the bespoke box was called Emerald City. Now I put in photos of the dress. I absolutely love it. This is a fabulous pattern. I did raise the V up a little bit, even though I think this would be the type of dress that I would wear over bathers. It does say it's a relaxed fitting kaftan style dress, and you can either put elastic in the waist or you can just put a tie in like I did. Other things I've done before with other dresses is I've put a combination of elastic and a tie, which is where you sew the tie-in to a piece of elastic, and so you're pulling it through and tying it, but it's actually a piece of elastic inside. It was still a little bit big in the shoulders, and so the seam allowance is a 1 centimetre seam allowance, and I actually did a 2 centimetre seam allowance probably for the first 5-ish centimetres, then graded back to the 1 centimetre seam allowance because it's got a seam on here. Now what I did was, my idea was to this is actually the sleeve. It's not a band, it's actually a facing, and it's supposed to be on the inside. And I thought, oh, I'm going to cut it on the bias so that it runs in the other direction, which it does do, or it runs on the diagonal, which it does do, but you can't really tell. You can't really tell that it's running in the other direction because the fabric's so busy. But if, for instance, you had like a full-on check or a gingham type of fabric, or even two fabrics that are coordinating, you can always put that facing on the outside. So just instead of sewing the two right sides together and turning it in, I sewed the right side of the facing to the wrong side of the dress sleeve and turned it onto the outside. But what I did do was, on this top part, which is top stitched down to the dress, before I'd even put the facings on, I did a row of stitching so that I could press that up so that it'd be really easy to fold against the sleeve and top stitch down. So it was already pre-folded and pre-pressed, and I only had to pin it to it and stitch it down, which was quite easy. But this dress is long, I'm telling you, it is so long. And you can see from the image that it is technically supposed to touch the floor. Well, when you're 5'4" or probably less, it does more than touch the floor. I ended up doing, turned over 2 centimetres and then turned over 3 centimetres and stitched on the machine for the hem. So that was 5 centimetres, but I think I cut like another good 8 centimetres off. Did give me the opportunity to try it on and see if it was level all the way around. The only place it wasn't was on the side seams, and I did let it drop because I didn't know, because of the length of the fabric. So the fabric is really long from, it's got a waist seam from the waist to the floor, and it is supposed to have side splits, but I didn't put side splits in it. I didn't think it needed it, and it's plenty wide enough to walk easily or run at the beach, which I won't be doing. So very nice pattern, and I could easily see myself making this again. Very easy make. It's got a piece of bias tape at the back of the neck, and at the front it has got a facing. So if I go to make it again, I still want the V this high, because I actually want to be able to wear it, not flashing yourself. And so I will adjust the pattern and adjust the facing so that it all meets perfectly. I mean, it's all neat on the inside, but when you fiddle around with things, it's sort of not as neat as what it could have been. But that make. Very happy with it. Would make it considerably shorter to start with, so that you weren't wasting fabric, really. And the next thing I made was the Elodie wrap dress in this beautiful fabric. Issues here. And it actually fits in the bust, and I don't know that I need to pin it. This was a really nice make, and I fully lined it. Fully lined the whole dress. So I lined it with a lawn that I bought online, which I thought was the same colour, but it turned out to be a bit brighter. But nonetheless, it worked perfectly as the lining. So really happy with the lining. What I did was I joined the pieces together on the side. So I joined these, I don't want to call them centre front, let's call them wrap fronts. I joined the wrap fronts, the lining to the main piece on both of the wrap fronts, and then I did understitching, which you can see there, and made sure it rolled properly. You can even see that there, because I didn't want this colour, which is not actually technically in the dress colour, on the outside. So then I had made up the bodice, and I did that the same way. Did this the same way, and then I joined the two together as per the pattern. And instead of stitching in the ditch, I hand stitched this part down. So this is machine stitched, where you're stitching the bodice to the band, and then the dress skirt is stitched to the band, and then this underband, so the inside band, is folded under, and you are supposed to stitch in the ditch, but I didn't want any of that stitching to show, even if I'd stitched in the ditch, so I hand stitched that down. The only thing I didn't hand stitch was the hem, and so they're just hemmed individually. The lining and the dress are not joined to each other at the hem, only at the wrap fronts, what we'll call them. The pattern was pretty easy to follow. I didn't put the pocket on it because I didn't really want to break up the pattern. So this mannequin Tessie is my body measurements. So, because when I moved, I actually changed her. Put a bit of fatty padding there, but her boobs are the right size. I don't know about her shoulders. But that's pretty much how the dress looks on me. So really, really happy with that pattern. Really happy. I don't know that I'm going to need to pin it in the front or press stud it, or I don't really want to permanently stitch it. But it would be the most successful woven wrap dress I have made to date, because I do not have very much luck with a woven wrap dress. So that's it from me this week. I would like to thank my very special guest Phoebe, who's going to be 7 in a few weeks' time. She did a wonderful job at sewing, and we had great fun in the school holidays, all of us. So that was 2 of my grandchildren that came and stayed. Another one's coming at the end of this week. And she's a bit little to sew because she's 2. I hope everyone has a wonderful sewing week. What have I got coming up? I have started Rosette Huguette dress. And what am I up to? I've sewn the fronts to the backs. I am making the V-neck version with the collar. It's the one with the special pleated sleeve. So I haven't done that yet. I haven't done the sleeves. I haven't done it out of order. I've actually been following the instructions. Can you believe it? So hopefully I will finish that soon. And other than that, I am going to make a bubble sleeve top just to see what the pattern's like. I'm thinking the Brody Anglaise first one. And I might just pop some lawn lining to use inside the sleeve. So I'll let you know how I go with that. I mean, so the part of the top that won't be see-through is the sleeve, because it's basically self-lined, and that's how you get the bubble effect. So that's all from me. Please like and subscribe. Everyone have a wonderful week. Highly recommend the Elodie wrap dress. Highly recommend the Abby, let's call it a kaftan dress. It's really something that I would wear over bathers, or yeah, that you get changed into like at tea time. Well, in Australia anyway, you might have been swimming and then come in and had showers and all that. Pop this dress on, be really, really good for that. Or at the beach, you could put it over your bathers, depending how sunburnt you're going to be getting. You might want something that's long and covers you up. So, highly recommended. Everybody have a wonderful week. I'll let you know how I go with that Cousette Huguette dress. Who knows if I'm saying it correctly? I don't know. And they probably would never watch, so it won't make any difference. But I'll tell you next week how I go with that. Everybody have a great week. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.